Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Living the Sweet Life. I'm your host, TJ Sweet, and on this podcast, we're going to help you reshape your mindset, live with intention, and look at the world through a grateful lens, because those things will help you go from where you are to where you want to be. So first of all, I want to say thank you for tuning in to these episodes every week. The amount of listeners and people watching on YouTube are growing every single week, and I'm beyond grateful for every one of you. Also, thank you for sharing ideas on episodes. Those are some of the most inspiring things because I really want to talk to you. I don't want to talk at you about any of this. And so while we're here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Good reminder, every Monday, every Mindset Monday, these episodes come out for you so that you can win the day and win the week, starting with a Mindset Monday. So this week, I want to talk to you about a really, really important topic that sometimes gets tough to execute, but it's about choosing people that choose you and understanding. And this comes from a place of love, not from hatred. But some people aren't your people. And that doesn't mean you have to have a negative feeling about them. It just means you can't always give some of those people your time and your effort and the recognition and the value and their opinions. You sometimes have to prioritize the people that prioritize you. So I'm going to kind of walk you through some different bigger thoughts here, but really it's just about understanding how much the people that you surround yourself with actually impact you. And so, understanding first this idea of a one-sided relationship. And there are always going to be analogies out there about relationships, and it could be a work relationship, it could be a personal relationship, or it could be family relationship. But one-sided relationships, and I'll say this a couple different times throughout this episode and probably episodes to come, givers, sometimes we need to set our own limits because takers never will. So if you find yourself in a one-sided relationship where you're giving more effort, more time, more consideration, you're doing more, and you feel like the other person's just taking and never really giving. And I mean giving in the sense of a meaningful way, not giving out of obligation, not giving because you got mad, but like genuinely giving because they're grateful for the chance to give you any of themselves. This idea of a one-sided relationship, again, it can kind of become something to where we hope it becomes different when we give more. If we give more, maybe the other person will want to give as well. But sometimes we just have to understand that that's not everybody's way of thinking. And in a relationship, this isn't about just finding two givers. This is about two people seeing each other, making each other feel seen. And you're going to hear me say that a lot because it's one of the things that we need the most, but we often don't get it. We don't get it at all, or maybe don't get it enough, or maybe even in a more meaningful way. So I want you to kind of visualize this idea and this great relationship kind of components that I've heard, just to kind of give you a sense of what role do you play in a relationship. And this is two men and two women, right? This isn't just, stereotyping, any sort of relationship that you have, but really understanding this idea of a garden and a gardener. And so you can't have two gardeners without a garden, and you can't have two gardens without actually having somebody tend to it. And so understanding that there's this natural kind of ebb and flow in a relationship of a garden and a gardener. And the most beautiful thing that brings the gardener, maybe the giver that gives a little bit more, that gives him the most joy, isn't just what blooms in the garden. It's making sure that there's the right soil, the right amount of water, the right amount of sunshine, all of these things. So it's really tending to and cultivating a garden. That's what the gardener actually finds the most joy in, not just what comes at the end. And then if you find yourself maybe being more of the garden, you also have to understand that you need what you need. And so somebody else is going to have to pour into you, but the opportunity that you have to really grow and thrive and become your most beautiful version of yourself comes from the help from somebody else. It's not weakness to rely on somebody else, but there's this give and take because you bring, as the garden, so much joy and beauty and everything that you are just by being you. Not comparing yourself to other people, but just by being you. And recognizing that we all need a gardener and a garden to really thrive. And this other thing that I'll say that really has transformed the way that I see relationships is this idea of relationships aren't 50-50, because that's really two people kind of going halfway. But a one-sided relationship is maybe more 100 and 0, or maybe it's 80-20, what we're going to call it a shared relationship, but it's really a one-way. But when you slow down and you both go 100, no more 50-50. Both of you be all in for each other. And again, this could be your personal relationships, your family, or your business relationships. You want to be in business with people who meet you 100% of the way. And this takes time to kind of recognize this. And there's a really great book called Give and Take. And really understanding you need to stop and think about, when do you feel the most joy? And when do you feel like other people are helping you the most and caring for you the most? Because there's oftentimes this idea that if I give, then I'll earn. But that's not really what about a two-way relationship's really about. It's about giving because you get to, regardless of what happens. So remember, one-sided relationships, you have to recognize them. And then truthfully, you have to learn to choose the relationships that are actually mutual. Now, that leads me into the next one. This next topic is about mutual effort. Effort is everything. Effort means that you mean more to them well before they had the opportunity to give the effort. But if you're always giving the effort and you're always giving time and recognition and all of the different things that go into a meaningful relationship, if you aren't having somebody return that effort in a meaningful way for you, that's probably a sign of it's a one-way. But understanding that you deserve mutual effort. Now, people may show it in different ways. Like we've talked about love languages. People may show love in different ways, and effort shows up in different ways. But you know what's always true? No effort is always recognized, and it always makes an impact. Like I've said before, like we've talked about before, effort and love all come from the genuine, authentic gratitude that we have for somebody and the constant consideration. Make sure that you are being considered all the time, and make sure you understand that sometimes effort comes from a place of love and gratitude. But really, two people making a choice to give each other effort, to show up for each other, two people genuinely choosing that, not doing it because the other person will get mad if you don't. It's very important to not be reactive in relationships. Sit down, slow down, and be present. Because whenever you actually show up for somebody by choice, it means everything. And understanding that you deserve the mutual effort. So many people that I know in life, they just accept other people's lack of attention, lack of effort. And, you know, one of my favorite quotes, it's not really meant to be punitive, and some people are going to feel this more than others. But I've heard so many times people talk about how people call them high maintenance. And then they make it sound like they want more than they deserve and all these different negative things. But really what I want you to think about is don't lower your standards. So if somebody says that you're high maintenance, just really understand that they're showing you that they're low effort. Don't lower your standards. Just expect more from people. And some people aren't going to show up for you. And that's okay. You just have to understand you have to make a choice on whether or not you're going to be okay with those people not showing up. Like I said before, this is personal life and relationships and business. The people that show up for you, the people that do the extra things for you because they're grateful that they get to have you in their lives, recognize that and really dig in to understand where that comes from, because it's so critical to understand that when effort is given, when it's given freely, it's given out of gratitude and love and appreciation, which is something you never have to earn. Now, as I go through talking about some of these things, it kind of, you know, when you think about effort, it's a kind of a matter of what kind of impact does that make? But the one thing that relationships need to always work is communication. But when effort is given freely, when you feel safe and you feel heard and appreciated and valued, communication is free. It's stress-free. It's actually something you want to do. You want to communicate your needs to somebody who actually considers your needs. Oftentimes, communication breaks down in any relationship when we don't feel like the other person hears us. If they're just listening to reply and shoot you down, you're never really being heard. So you have to think about, how do you respond when people talk to you? But also, how do they respond when you talk to them? Do they ask you more questions? Do they reciprocate and ask you about your day? Or do they just want to get over with the conversation when you say, how are you? How can I show up for you? What do you, what's meaningful for you right now? What's on your heart? How do you get more of those reciprocating conversations? And it's really just communicating it. But it's so important. Whenever you have mutual effort, communication feels exciting. It's actually one of the ways that in the relationships I get to have, that communicating my needs and all these different things is actually very healing for me. And it makes me more present, and it makes me want to give back more to the people around me, because being seen, heard, valued, and appreciated is something that is deep within us, and it creates this place of safety. So understanding that mutual effort can have this secondary profound impact of improving your communication. Now, this last thought, and again, this is really a matter of self-awareness, but this last thought of you deserve to be valued, not tolerated. I don't know if you heard that, but you deserve to be valued, not tolerated. If you feel like you're an inconvenience to people, they're probably not your people. If you feel like you have to change who you are, if you feel like you just have to go along with whatever they want and whatever they're doing, they're probably not your people. And again, that doesn't mean you have to, have a negative thought towards them or whatever it may be. It's just understanding that your people can be a really small circle. And my circle in my own life is really small. And it's not because I don't trust other people to come in. It's just I go deeper in the relationships that I get to have. And those people don't make me feel like I'm being tolerated. And I'll be transparent too. It's been something in relationships that I've had to heal from. I've had to overcome. I'm the youngest in my family, and watching a lot of videotapes as a kid, I was probably tolerated, I'll be honest. As the youngest in the family and always had something to say, you can imagine, here we are on a podcast. But I had to learn that there was so much more for me than to just be tolerated. And even in my adult life, I still catch myself saying this, that I hope somebody someday would be willing to tolerate me. Like, where does that even come from? Right. And it also comes from me not really knowing who I am, but also me not raising the bar, because I deserve to be valued, not just tolerated. But you have to want that. You have to command that for yourself, and not just tolerate yourself, but value yourself. And you don't have to earn, this is another chapter of my healing. You don't have to earn love and earn acceptance and earn all of these things that when you're with the right people, they just naturally, authentically give you those things. And so if you feel like you have to earn, the love in a relationship, or you have to earn your credibility in a business relationship, you have to feel like you have to constantly earn all of these things in a matter of acceptance, then you're probably asking the wrong people. You're probably showing the wrong people, because the right people will actually see you and cherish you for who you are, not just what you do for them. Like I said, this idea of communication and mutual effort and the power of knowing that you deserve to be valued and not tolerated, it's this idea of don't settle for anyone less than people that make you feel seen, heard, and valued. And I encourage you to really love more people in life, but it's really about, who do you give your heart to? Who do you give your real, authentic, when it's quiet? Who do you give yourself to? Start giving yourself more to those people that actually make you feel seen, valued, heard, appreciated, and just recognized again for who you are, not for what you do for them. And as we talk about topics like this, again, this is human. This isn't just about personal relationships or careers or business relationships. This is about who you surround yourself with, because it matters. And you will hear it over and over again, no matter who you listen to, no matter what books you read. who you surround yourself with matters. And the reason why I say it matters so much, especially about this topic, is if you don't know yourself well enough, if you don't surround yourself with people that believe in you and support you and encourage you, you surround yourself with people who doubt you and criticize you, you're bound to start believing them. Because if you hear something enough and you think about it long enough, you may actually start believing it. But when you surround yourself with people that love you, see you, cherish you, appreciate you, and value you, you might just actually start believing in those things for yourself, of which then brings out the absolute best in you. Not because you had to, not because you had to earn it, because you started to unlearn some of these criticisms and judgments that you've probably had growing up or maybe had in other relationships. When you start actually raising your bar to being seen, valued, heard, and appreciated, you won't lower your bar for anyone else ever again. I hope this episode empowers you to recognize you again. And I hope you take time to recognize the relationships that you have. And if you have these great relationships with people that you will genuinely say are your people, reach out to them more often. Let them know, because we never get tired of hearing how much we mean to other people in an authentic way, and show up for those people when you get to be with them. It's understanding that you provide value just by being you, not by having to earn it all the time. I hope this episode's inspired you to share it with somebody else. Maybe share it with some of those people that you're grateful for. And, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do it now. And just know that I genuinely and authentically appreciate each of you for showing up, for choosing yourself, for choosing to learn and grow and just become your best for the people that you're the most grateful for. And I'll wrap up this episode like I do with every other episode, to remind you that you always have the power and the choice to reshape your mindset, live with intention, and look at the world through a grateful lens. Till the next episode, never stop.